What are the ties of love that bind our families together? What is the divine purpose of love in our families? Sountracks presents Ties That Bind. One of the primary issues faced in regards to family life is that of the problems between a husband and a wife. During the period of lockdown that was imposed in our country and also around the world, it was found out that there was a substantial increase in the number of cases under the banner of domestic violence. The reasons for the same can be credited to the fact that husbands, wives, and children had to spend around 3 months in close proximity to one another. For some, the idea of being stuck with family was seemingly horrendous. But to another section of the population, it was sort of heavenly. To be reunited with family and rekindle the lost love was a relief. The reasons for the disparity can be due to the troubles that occur in communication. In a family, there are 5 distinct forms of communication. These 5 distinct forms of communications must be analyzed with thought and intent. Without these, the foundation of a family is at risk. For the session today, I would like to analyze these 5 different forms of communication. Firstly, verbal communication. There are tons of flaws that can happen in verbal communication. Some of the flaws that can happen are one person misunderstanding the other, being passive-aggressive, and misinterpreting things that are said. To avoid the blunders that can come about in verbal communication, husbands and wives must analyze everything that is said. At times, huge conflicts are bred due to the failure in understanding the context from which your spouse is speaking. If one is careful about the things that are said, the conflicts within a family can be avoided. Secondly, non-verbal communication. This can be achieved by various gestures that are shown to one another between 2 or more people. The same can be cryptic gestures shown between husbands and wives who are trying to hide spilling information from children, etc. However, this in itself, regardless of being an effective form of communication, has its own challenges. Thirdly, cross communication. This usually creates a lot of ruckus in families. This usually starts in mere words. "Why was the food served late today?" asks a typical husband to his wife. This might have been a rhetorical question, but the wife takes it in the wrong way. Similarly, "Why are you home this late?" asks a wife to a husband that has just come from the grocery store. This induces a wrong sense of meaning in the husband's mind, hence causing him to be aggravated. Cross-communication and the misinterpretation of the same breeds conflict within the family. This can be the case with children or even growing adults. Everything that is said must be analyzed. We all tend to get angry, but none of us ever think of the repercussions that can happen by the words that are instigated when we are aggravated. Fourthly, formal communication. You might be a person who is very humorous in nature, or you might be a person who refrains from joking around. Regardless, it should be known that within the realm of a marriage, a wife and a husband cannot be of the same behavioral traits. A husband and a wife cannot be identical in their emotional attributes. The husband can be stubborn, but the wife may be more lenient. The wife can be a person of charity, but the husband can be selfish. Hence, it must be inferred that a husband and a wife brought together under the will of God need not necessarily be the same person, but is united and unified by God regardless of the indifferences that exist. Finally, face-to-face communication. For any relationship in general, there must be face-to-face communication for it to work out. One of the most daunting issues when it comes down to the stability of marriages and family life in general is that of the absence of communication, and by communication I mean face-to-face communication. Without there being an intimate form of communication between a husband and a wife, it usually ends up destroying the oath of a marriage. This can be applied in regards to the relationships that are held with children. Hence, communication, as inferred by the 5 previous topics that we dealt with, is one of the primary aspects that defines the trajectory of a family, and without it, families tend to fall apart. God has gifted us the institution of family for us to carefully nurture the same. Let us try to adhere to our loved ones and lead good Christian lives. Let the Lord's name be glorified. We will be back with similar topics in the next week. Till then, let the grace of God dwell in you. Amen.